Kyle Shanahan went on a show called the TK Show, and this is what he had to say after being asked about Bill.
Speaking of coaching, I know how much respect you have for Belichick and how important he's been to you. Did you talk to him at all about an informal or even a formal role with this team this year?
I did. I threw it out to him he loves football so much that you never know what he would. I can't believe that he's not a head coach of a team right now. I know what I would do if I was an owner, so that shocks me. And the last thing you want to do is insult someone like Bill Belichick. But I know he just loves ball in the simplest form. So I threw it all out to him, like whatever he'd want to do.
DC?
Yeah. I was like, would you be interested? And he was very nice and appreciative, but he politely turned me down. But I think he's helping out his son a little bit. I know he's involved in Washington up there and trying to start that help out with Jetfish and what he's doing out there. And, it could be good too, because I'm sure he's going to be back in the league next year, and I could be going against him. He could be in the NFC West, so it would have sucked if he came here and then he was going against us every week too. So that's stuff you got to be careful about. But, he's the best, and, I just like talking to him.
Mr. Kawakami, obviously, doing the interview with Kyle Shanahan. He writes for The Athletic San Francisco out there. And I think he feels the same way as a lot of people that are in football. It's like, how is this guy not? And he said, whatever job you want, dude. You can't be offense coordinator. That's kind of my thing. But, if you want any other job that you want around the building, go ahead and have a defense coordinator. Could you fathom him with that Niners defense if he was just a DC? First of all, that's you can't help but think about. But how many teams do you think did that? And do you think Bill was appreciative of that notion from Kyle Shanahan?
Oh, I'm sure he really was. I don't want to speak for him, but I'm sure he was. It's kind of interesting about that. Today, I had a conversation with the general manager in the league, and we were talking about Hard Knocks and what we were watching from there, and could only imagine what was on the cutting room floor of that Giant. And I said to this general manager, I said, you're fortunate that, that your team is going to be successful and has been and all that, and some of the competition isn't as good. I said, really, the main question that people should ask is they should ask Andy Reid or Kyle Shanahan, who don't you want coaching against you? And that should lead you to who you should hire, right? And Kyle just ended up telling us exactly that. If you were to call up, Kyle Shanahan and say, who don't you want coaching in Arizona? He would say Bill Belichick. Well, shouldn't we hire Bill Belichick? And I'm not trying to get Jonathan Gannon fired at all. I'm not suggesting that. But to me, that is the true litmus test. Who wouldn't you want coaching the Giants? Who wouldn't you want coaching the Jets? To me, that's the question, and I think that's what Kyle is saying. I don't really want to have to go against him because his teams will be really good. His teams will be well coached. Last year, for as bad as they were the least penalized team in the league, and their field goal kicker missed a zillion kicks, and they turned the ball over, and they weren't very good at all.
So, obviously the field goal kicker provided Connor some moments where he knew they were going to get a high draft pick, number 3 overall, if you're watching Hard Knocks, the Giants were willing to almost do whatever to get up to 3 in Striker Ridge, get there, just wasn't able to do it. And then we'll drop back. If Marv or Neighbors aren't here, we'll trade back, we'll trade up. Never an alt convo, which to your point in that whole thing, but you end up with the number 3 overall pick, which gives you Drake May, which D-Butt's about to ask about. But the question for me is, let's just hypothesize or fantasize for a second here. Could you imagine Belichick with that Niners defense? Legit.
It would be unbelievable. But
all he's focused on, all he would be focused on is defense. He doesn't have to do any head coaching, doesn't have to do any press conference. Once a week he has to meet with the media. I think for 5 minutes is the defense coordinator's obligation. Doesn't have to deal with ownership, doesn't have to deal with negotiations, doesn't have to do anything. All he has is Fred Warner, Bosa, and the boys every single week. Could you I wonder if he even thought about, if Bill even contemplated that to do that, because as a football fan, that would have been pretty fun. I think that would have been a fun thing to kind of watch kind of unfold.
No question. And the fact that he would have game planned for it. The fact, how do we take away an opponent's best, what they want to do? How do we make an opponent play left-handed? He's often said to me before, the best job in football is to be a coordinator. You take away all the stuff that you don't have to deal with. The media, only get 5 minutes, so it's just pure football. But the strategy that he would invoke as a coordinator, which is something that I think Connor appreciates, knowing that, he's watched him all those years, and that's going to be missing in New England. Now, it could be different. It could be better. It might be worse. But that strategy of how to play the game, it goes back to that question about how do we, if we score 17 points, there's a strategy involved in how to play every game, right? It's just not about and leads you to the points. So I think to me, and that's where Bill's brilliance shines the greatest, is the strategy of how are we going to play a game this week to win the game.
I wonder if he contemplated it at all. I do wonder, because he's got big Mondays with us.
Of course.
He's got the Manning cast, obviously. Mm-hmm. Then he's got Inside the NFL on Tuesdays. It's going to be hard to turn those things down. Mm-hmm. It's going to be hard to tell us that he's not going to want to talk to us on Mondays anymore. I got to actually go be defense coordinator.
But you know what's, Pat, though? The thing about Bill is he's a football guy. He's a junkie. He's still working on football as we speak. I mean, he's working on the college draft.
How do you know?
I know because I talk to him regularly about it, and he's working on it. I mean, he's up early in the morning working on it. My wife calls it SEAL Team 8. We're in there on the phone talking about things, and it's good for me. It's great for the people that are involved in the conversations because he wants to learn about the teams. He wants to study the college. Look, I've said this to a GM in the league. We were both at Oregon one day. We were watching Mariota work out, and I was telling him about how Bill prepares in the offseason, and he just shook his head and said, I've never even thought about that. And no head coach has ever done that. This is a unique person in terms of his work ethic. Like Patrick Mahomes is unique in terms of his ability to grind and want to be great. That's all he does, and he'll know as much about the college game as he does the pro game.
I love the thought of him watching that Washington team for like 1 week from somewhere that isn't the game.
We're all going to be out there. We're going to be out there together. I think we're all going to be out there August 9th and to the 13th. We're going to be
How
out there.
How about Coach Fish hiring the entire Belichick enterprise pretty much?
Smart. What if,
my God.
What if Bill still does, like he is still acting every week as if he is the San Fran DC and on Sundays calling plays as if he's the
we're undefeated right now.
Yeah.
I know, but the thought of, because I forget the exact date we did it, but it got mentioned to me. Hey, on this date you were talking to Lombardi, and we started chit-chatting about Michigan, and we talked about Wink Martindale going back and going against college offensive coordinators. And I said, that feels like a big deal. And Lombo goes, oh, it is a big deal. That's because he's been with Bill. They've been for Steve.
How simple.
He's been watching it. He's like, it is a big. There's some. These guys get into a routine pretty much. And in the NFL, you can't do that. Obviously, we need to watch out for the Huskies. Yeah. We need to do that. They got Belichick and Fish running the entire operation. Steve's going to do his thing, obviously. But if you got a dad in between jobs who happens to be the GOAT and addicted to football, I assume he's going to drop some information. Then he's got Lombo. Hey, Lombo, I need you to look at something for me. What are your thoughts on? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Like the amount of people.
Yeah.
Only takes half the time because it's college, like we're saying.
Oh, man, watch out for the Huskies. All of a sudden, that over, I don't know what it is. We need to start staring that thing down, even though they got a new head coach. I love to hear that. Let's go to the team, obviously, that everybody knows Bill Belichick from, and then whenever he was kind of,
yeah. Unceremoniously.
Well, 3-14, but yep.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah.